Hannah was 29 when she became a mother for the first time. She had imagined the joy of motherhood for years, the tiny hands, the little cries, the happy family moments. But reality hit her like a cold wave. Nights were sleepless, diapers piled up, and her husband, Michael, seemed distant. Hannah felt like she was drowning, but nobody noticed. Michael worked long hours, and when he came home he was tired. He didn't complain, but he didn't help either. Hannah tried to smile, tried to tell him how hard it was, but he only nodded. "You'll manage," he said softly. That answer broke her heart more than the sleepless nights. One afternoon, Hannah's friend Grace called. Grace was funny, lively, and full of energy. "Hannah, you need a break," she said. Hannah laughed, but tears filled her eyes. She hadn't had a proper conversation in weeks that wasn't about feeding, cleaning, or sleeping. Grace suggested a coffee meetup, just an hour away from the baby and the house. Hannah agreed. At the cafe, Hannah finally felt alive again. She laughed, she talked about books, movies, and dreams she had forgotten. Across the table, Grace noticed Hannah's sadness but didn't judge. Hannah confessed, "Sometimes I feel trapped, like motherhood took everything from me, even Michael." Grace held her hand and said, "You are not alone. It's okay to feel this way." Later that day, Hannah returned home and found Michael on his phone. She tried to talk to him about her feelings, but he seemed distant, uninterested. That night, she cried quietly while the baby slept. A feeling of emptiness began to grow inside her. It was the first time Hannah realized that motherhood, the thing she had dreamed of, could also break her. Days passed, and Hannah's sadness deepened. The house felt empty, even with the baby's cries. She missed herself, the woman who had hobbies, dreams, and laughter. Michael was busy with work and rarely noticed the change. One evening, he left for a meeting, and Hannah, feeling lonely, called Grace again. "Come over," she said softly. When Grace arrived, she brought snacks and a warm smile. They sat in the living room, and Hannah found herself talking about Michael, about how he no longer held her hand, how he no longer whispered words of love. Grace listened quietly. Hannah didn't expect anything to change, but she felt a small spark of hope and comfort. Grace hugged her, and for a moment, Hannah felt understood. Over the next few weeks, these small meetings became their secret escape. They laughed, cried, and shared everything. Hannah began to notice the way Grace's eyes held care and attention. Every gentle touch and every shared laugh gave her something she hadn't felt in months, a connection. One rainy evening, after the baby was asleep, Grace stayed longer. They watched movies and talked about life. Hannah felt alive but also guilty. She loved Michael once, she really did. But Grace made her feel wanted, seen, and cared for in a way Michael no longer did. That night, something changed. A single touch, a lingering hug, crossed the line. Hannah knew she had started an emotional affair, but she felt powerless to stop it. The guilt crushed her. She thought about her child, her vows, her life, but her loneliness was overwhelming. Grace didn't pressure her. She only offered warmth and understanding. Hannah's heart was torn between her past life and the happiness she now tasted. Motherhood had broken her, and in that fracture, a new dangerous connection began to grow. Weeks turned into months. Hannah's secret meetings continued. Michael noticed the change but assumed it was just stress. Hannah became quieter, more withdrawn, and he thought she was still adjusting to motherhood. But one day, Michael found messages on Hannah's phone from Grace, affectionate, caring, intimate words. "Hannah, can we meet?" One message read. Michael's heart sank. He confronted Hannah gently but firmly. "Hannah, what's going on?" he asked. She froze, tears welling up. She couldn't lie, and the truth spilled out like a broken dam. She told him about the loneliness, the sadness, the small comfort she found in Grace. She told him about the hug, about the emotional closeness. Michael didn't shout. He didn't scream. He just looked at her with a mixture of hurt and confusion. "I know I've been distant, Hannah. I see that now. But we can't let this ruin everything," he said quietly. Hannah felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they could fix things. Maybe she could return to the life she once wanted. But trust had been broken. Michael started to withdraw emotionally, unsure if he could forgive. Hannah felt the weight of her actions crushing her. She loved her child fiercely, but her heart had wandered, seeking something she didn't even realize was missing until it was too late. Grace noticed the change and gently told Hannah that their affair couldn't continue. She loved Hannah as a friend, but she refused to hurt a family further. Hannah felt lost, trapped between her guilt and her need for love. Motherhood had made her vulnerable, and her choices had consequences she couldn't undo. For the first time, she understood the true cost of loneliness and emotional neglect. Hannah decided to fight for her marriage. She began attending therapy for postpartum depression and marital counseling with Michael. She shared everything: her loneliness, her guilt, her mistakes. Michael listened, slowly learning to understand her pain. He also admitted his faults: the emotional absence, the tiredness, the neglect. They started small. Michael held Hannah's hand while the baby slept. They went on short walks together, talking about dreams, not just daily chores. Hannah still missed the connection she had with Grace, but she knew it was dangerous and fleeting. Healing didn't happen overnight, but every step forward was a step toward rebuilding her life. Grace remained in Hannah's life, but as a true friend. She encouraged Hannah and supported her without crossing boundaries. Hannah realized that happiness wasn't in an affair or secret touch. It was in honesty, connection, and understanding. Motherhood had broken her, but it had also taught her resilience, empathy, and the need to fight for her marriage. Months later, Hannah looked at her baby sleeping in the crib. She smiled softly, feeling a strength she hadn't known she had. She looked at Michael, who gently kissed her forehead, and she felt hope return. They had a long journey ahead, but they had chosen to heal together. Hannah learned that love wasn't just in excitement. It was in commitment, in forgiveness, and in choosing each other every day. Motherhood had broken her, yes, but it had also made her see what really mattered: family, honesty, and the courage to face pain, not escape it.